get to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by Revenova, the official TMS provider for the Freight Coach. You guys, I've been a broker for a long time, and the tools that are at your disposal with Revenova help you eliminate bouncing between systems, which improves your accuracy when you are managing multiple tasks throughout your workday. Plus, it's built into the Salesforce cloud, so your CRM is fully integrated with your TMS, eliminating yet another silo. In today's day and age, you are definitely concerned about the safety of your data. With Revenova, it's fully protected. They have cutting-edge security that keeps your information safe so you can focus on what matters most, and that's growing your business. Speaking of growing your business, with Rate and Lane IQ, you get real-time pricing and route recommendations, helping you optimize costs and improve operational efficiencies, which ultimately helps you make smarter decisions. If you are like me and have recurring shipments from non-EDI customers, they have intuitive cloning features that let you easily replicate previous shipments, saving both shipper and carrier rates with just a few taps. If you are ready to learn more, visit www.revenova.com to request a demo. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys here today. I'm going to bring him up in just a second. Just a little quick reminder, you guys, we got a newsletter, drops every single Wednesday, but unlike others, I don't auto-sign my network up. So if I have your email address, I'm not going in there and registering you for that. So if you want to register for that, just go to thefreightcoach.com, you guys. It will auto-prompt you to do that. We talk about the industry in there. We talk about fuel pricing, rates, all of that stuff, you guys, because at the end of the day, this is really all I know. I'm not trying to be a life coach or a guru or anything like that. I just know freight. So that's what we're going to keep it to. If you want to check that out, you guys go to the website. But today, you guys, we're going to talk about preventative maintenance. We're going to talk about downtime. We're going to be talking about all of that stuff and what drivers and fleets can do to keep their trucks on the road. Because as my old man always used to say, if my wheels ain't turning, I ain't earning. So with that being said, I have Mr. Steve Blair, the founder of FleetHD, on the show this morning. Steve, thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning, Chris, and look forward to our discussion.
No, absolutely. You know, I'm a big fan of data. I'm a big fan of predictive analytics and all of this stuff. And what can we do to keep our businesses moving forward, right? Like as a bootstrap founder myself, generating revenue is like always of the utmost importance to me. And when I'm out there thinking about all my driver friends who are out there on the road all day long, you know, like we got to keep their fleets up and running and maintained. And I think like with the advancements in technology that are out there, like it's becoming easier and easier for them to keep that stuff kind of up and running. But before we do any of that stuff, Steve, I love to start my shows by asking everybody, how'd you get your start in this industry, man? What brought you into transportation?
Yeah, great question. So I've been in technology pretty much my whole life. Probably spent 35 years in what I consider emerging technologies, but outside of transportation. And about 18 years ago or so, a founder of a big telematics company called Spirion came to me, and they wanted me to run the fleet group from the ground up, to build the application, to hire the team, and to bring it commercial. Which we did. We had a tremendous success at Spirion, but that was, like I said, about 18 years ago. And we eventually exited that business, but I've been in transportation and loving transportation ever since.
No, I love it. And that's the thing for me is it's like I've only been on like the broker and operations side of things like that. But I feel like with everything that's kind of coming to light here, and especially over, I would say the last 5 to 7 years with I would say an onslaught of new technology inside of the transportation industry. I feel like it's growing, but it's becoming more efficient, right? Like the redundancies are slowly starting to get out of the industry with the advancements of the right technology and platforms and everything out there. So, like, what was the driving force behind FleetHD? Like, what was it that came about where you guys wanted to do that, but then attack the maintenance side of things primarily?
Yeah. We've spoken to, just over my course in the industry, I don't know, thousands of fleet maintenance professionals, lots of directors of fleet operations and vice presidents of fleet maintenance. And there was always a common theme around downtime, that there were a lot of fantastic, ubiquitous platforms, in other areas of fleet operations. But as it related to fleet maintenance, there wasn't this concept of a single pane of glass. And there's so many different disparate data sets that are coming in to the fleet maintenance organization to try to better manage fleet maintenance on that vehicle. They were having a really hard time just with data overload, keeping up with all of the information coming off the truck. So really, the what started FleetHD was the opportunity to take multiple points of diagnostics data, sensor data, fleet intelligence data, and pull all that together around a specific fleet or around a specific vehicle, so we could better manage fleet uptime and minimize unscheduled downtime. And really, that's the key, because if that has a direct relation to fleet profits. The better and higher your fleet uptime, the more profitable you are as a fleet.
How much have you seen I don't want to call it the ability for a truck to break down to increase, but like as the units themselves become more technologically kind of driven, have you
Yeah.
seen kind of an increase in maintenance events happen because, this sensor's out, or, this data, like something's not running properly on there? Have you seen an increase in that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting at both the TMC a couple of weeks back and out at Geotab Connect. There was a lot of really important industry and analyst statistics around that. But right now, I mean, if you just look across heavy duty, out of 3 million some trucks, there was 1 million unscheduled breakdowns last year, right? And the average breakdown lasted almost 9 days, per breakdown. So really big problem, and that equates to over 3.5 billion dollars in unscheduled maintenance repair costs. So operating a fleet, maintaining a fleet just continues to get more and more expensive. And I think the last statistic that was really eye-opening is just with regulation and everything that's happened in the supply chain. Over the last 4 years, to operate a commercial fleet vehicle is up 34%. And the number two reason for that is maintenance and repair costs. So yeah, so we're definitely seeing costs increase. And that's why cost control and implementing proactive cost controls and predictive cost controls around fleet maintenance is so important.
Did you say that the average breakdown lasts 9 days out there?
Yeah. So if you added up the average time a truck is down, a commercial vehicle, over a year, it's averaging about 9 days per year of complete downtime.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify because I didn't know if you said like the average breakdown lasted 9 days of
No.
per event. So 9 total days throughout the year. So when we're looking at, I mean, just speaking of 9 days a year out there, how are you guys working to kind of minimize that, right? Like obviously a lot of your guys' tech is kind of geared towards that. So kind of walk me through how does this work? Is it embedded into, the engine to monitor performance and everything, and then it sends out alerts? How does that kind of go?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with again the advent of ELD and DOT compliance, um, every truck now has some type of a connected solution, whether that's telematics that's put on by the factory or an aftermarket telematics solution or other connections to the ECM. But the truck has a lot to say now, so it's definitely out there going down the road talking, and the question is, are we listening? So what we've invented and developed is really the first of its kind. It's an all makes, all models, real-time vehicle health monitoring solution that's constantly watching that truck before it leaves the yard, while it's out on route, and when it comes back, and it's identifying those severe and priority fault code issues, not just off the engine control module or off the CAN bus around diagnostic fault codes, but there's a lot of other components on a vehicle now that are intelligent and sensors based. And a lot of the budget in a fleet for fleet maintenance is on the off CAN bus items, things like tires and brakes and wheels and filters. So if you can do a much better job of maintaining those, either on today, you've got PM schedules, but are you over PMing or under PMing is a question. So can we start doing more condition-based monitoring where the component tells us when it's time to replace it? So we tap into all of that data, we filter out all the noise, and we kind of hand deliver the most important elements that or events that a fleet would care about, and try to curtail those from happening while they're still either small or before they even happen, so we don't have an emergency road call or a down truck on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm. You brought up over. How do you over PM a truck? Like I wouldn't think that would be an issue kind of at all. I obviously under PM, I mean preventative maintenance, for those of you who are listening who don't understand the acronym, but how can you over PM a truck?
Yeah, it's another good question. If you look at a scheduled maintenance, they might change out. Well, first of all, they're going to do 150 plus point inspection, and a lot of the components need to be changed out on an interval basis. So the question is, did you need to change that filter, right? Is the oil still in a good enough condition? So there's a lot of elements that get changed out just on an interval, not based on the condition or the wear of that component, but based on this idea of time and mileage based intervals. So the industry is moving to a more efficient model, and that's condition based monitoring of different consumable components on a truck.
Okay. So when you're out there, then, I mean, just speaking of that, and, like you brought up, did you need to change the oil? Did you need to change the filter and, other, insert any other maintenance terminology there? Is this what you guys are really identifying where it's like, hey, these are all the fault codes that are coming about right now? Because one thing that I just recently had, again, this was for my own personal vehicle, but on my wife's Yukon, we went in to get it serviced. There was one fault code. And then after they fixed that fault code, like 3 more fault codes showed up at that time. Does yours kind of circumvent that where it shows everything and there's really no surprises? So then, I'll let you answer that and then I'll do my follow-up.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems in just reactive maintenance is, hey, I've got a check engine light on, I've got a major fault occurring. I bring the truck in, they do their diagnostics, they might repair, a DPF filter plugging issue because the truck's going into D-rate. But wouldn't it be nice to know that at the same time, there was a tire that had a consistent low leak that needed to be addressed, and maybe a tire repair, or like I mentioned before, filtration, that maybe it's time to replace a filter based on time and mileage, or a preventive maintenance is coming up. So if the repair center or the fleet maintenance organization had better insight, kind of a 360-degree view around everything that was actionable on that truck. At the same time, in context of the truck, they'd be able to do more. And if they had the bay space and the labor and the technician and parts, they could be able to do all of that much more efficiently. And I would just add one other thing is just with vehicle inspection reports on pre and post trips. That's being done with every commercial carrier before they leave and when they come back. And a lot of times the driver will note other issues that are in a separate digital vehicle inspection reporting system that doesn't get reported to maintenance. So maybe there's a marker light that's out, or a mud flap that's ripped off, or a cracked windshield, some other safety concern. So what our platform does is it takes all of those unique and disparate data sets, pulls it together so they can action on all of the data in a single event, and at least have knowledge of that again if they can take advantage of it.
I view this as, obviously I'm not a mechanic, right? I'm assuming most individuals out there who are operating semis aren't a mechanic. I'm sure a lot of them are like my old man who did a lot of his own light maintenance on his truck and stuff like that. But I feel like as semis become more and more tech enabled themselves from the OEMs, there's a lot of, I don't want to ever say that there's anybody out there who is, predatory maintenance and stuff like that out on the road,
Yeah.
but let's call it what it is. Giving the operator of the truck, the fleet, more of a story of, no, this is what's actually wrong as opposed to what you're telling me is wrong. I think everybody out there listening to this can go back to that one time that they brought their car into a mechanic or their vehicle in to get maintained, and all of a sudden there's 17 other things. You went in for an oil change and no, you should be doing all of this other stuff. So is that kind of where your users have seen a major benefit out there of like, actually, no, this is what's really showing, not as opposed to what you think I should be getting done here?
Yeah, absolutely. Having advanced insight and analytics and really understanding the diagnostics before you even send out a roadside assistance, having that information allows you to know what technician should I bring, what parts are needed, how severe is the issue? Should I direct that driver to add coolant, or should I have them down that truck and should we tow it in? And so having all of that information and having a record of it, to your point, first of all, not only helps the diagnostic and triage process and makes sure that the mechanic is fixing the right things and making sure we fix them the right way, but also making sure that we have accountability of what was repaired and why was it repaired, and do we have the diagnostic information to support that was a big issue. So now we do. So all of that information is captured in real time. It's what we call tagged against the vehicle record. So if there's any question in the past, we can see what was going on in that vehicle, what caused the downtime or the repair, and then what was done to correct it. And not only was it corrected correctly the first time, but was that issue, did it pop back up again after 24, 48 hours? So it can really hold the accountability to the maintenance professionals as well.
Yeah, I just, you hear a lot of stories out there, right? And I know, predatory towing, for example, that's something that is really getting a lot of attention out there. And, we're talking $15,000, $20,000 tow bills. And it's like, did it actually need to be towed in
That's
that
right.
moment and stuff? And again, if you don't know and your truck's not running and you're on the side of the freeway, traffic's whizzing by you, it's a stressful scenario to be inside of. More times than not, you're agreeing to do things just out of just fix my truck, get me out of this situation that I'm in right now. And,
That's right.
making those more sound decisions. I mean, that's every business owner's, I feel like the biggest thing, how are we looking at it of like, hey, did we actually need to pay $20,000 there to fix that? Or could it have been done for 10? Did we have the right information in the moment? Or was it a, knee-jerk reaction? Every single one of us has been through that exact same situation before where, the fear or the anxiety of the scenario that you're in causes you to do something that you might not needed to have done.
That's correct. Yep. And a lot of those issues are avoidable. So if we get to them early or we get to them predictively or prognostically, we can avoid it from happening altogether. And there's so many events, so on a vehicle inspection in the morning, on a pre-trip, there might be a lamp light on that doesn't get caught, or there might have been in the route the day earlier some other indications. Maybe the truck went into D-rate. That if that information isn't brought forward by the driver, the maintenance team might not ever know about that until you've got a truck on the side of the road. So what we do is our platform intelligently looks at all of those signals, looks at all of those fault codes, and monitors them in the background. We have a really sophisticated rules engine, and based on the fault code type, the fault code severity, the fault code count, whether or not there's a combination of fault codes going on, we filter out all the white noise and prioritize the ones. And this is all fleet configurable to say, hey, these 35 fault conditions are the most important. And before that truck leaves the yard, or if while it's on route, we start to see indications of that, let's down that truck. Have a driver manager reach out to the driver and address it proactively, because very quickly, a clutch can turn into a transmission, right? Or low oil can turn into a catastrophic engine event. So all of those things is where there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in cost avoidance, where you can, on a $1,000 or a $2,000 kind of proactive or preventative approach, can avoid a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, catastrophic event. And not only is the repair that costly, but then that truck is out of service. So so there's a lot of cost to be captured and avoided.
Are you guys working with all OEMs, or is there any specific ones that you guys are, your technology is compatible with?
Yeah, so that was one of the big things that our fleet operators asked for. So many fleets today, aren't a single OEM. They're running multiple nameplates, and the larger fleets, they've got internationals, they've got Pete's, they've got, you look at the waste industry, they're running Autocar, Pete, Max. They've got a lot of different vehicles. So again, if you're that fleet operator and you've got a mixed fleet, you're dialing into 3-4 different diagnostic OEM portals, and you're trying to manage data coming from those OEs. So our platform is all makes, all models. We're taking in data from all of those, and we're normalizing it and unifying it. So not only regardless of the year, the make, the model, or the fault condition, or what sensors they're using, we can unify all that information and provide a single source of data and truth for the fleet operator. So to answer your question, outside of some of the really heavy off-road equipment, we pretty much got everything else covered.
Okay. No, that's good. I mean, because you're right. I mean, depending on the size of the fleet that's out there, some only buy certain trucks, but I don't know what size fleet it enters into the mix where they're like, we're running 3 to 4 different makes and models out there on the road. But it's like, I also look at it as every truck is kind of serviced in the same but also differently at the same time. So it's like I'm looking at how are you guys working to again, we obviously the end goal is to keep trucks on the road, right? And then the predictive analytics that come along with it. How are you guys working with your your customers on like reducing that downtime, right? Like if, reducing the time between like breakdowns that might happen out there.
Yeah. It starts with the monitoring. So real-time monitoring. And I like to equate it, Chris, it sounds silly, but we invest in a home security or a home monitoring system for our home. And what we're trying to do is avoid or prevent break-ins. So our solution is the same thing for your vehicle. So we're trying to prevent breakdowns by proactively monitoring. So that's one area. But then it's what do you do with that data? Because that can become overwhelming. So most of the systems, most major telematics companies out there have some type of vehicle health monitoring. But if you ask the fleet operator, they will tell you, we get a lot of false positives. So we're able to clear that out and deliver precise fault codes that are, the ones that you actually want to take action on. But then it's beyond that. So now that we know that there's the vehicle's telling me there's a problem, the other thing that we do is we can match the fault data to real-time fix information in the cloud and when it gets back. So instead of having to wait for a breakdown, bring the truck in, have the maintenance team put a scan tool on it, figure out and triage what codes are open and active to address it through industry partnerships with companies like a Mitchell One or a Motor. We've, I believe, the first time taking automatic fault to fix diagnostic and repair guidance information in the cloud. And what that does is it makes the repair process so much more efficient, which also takes costs out of the equation. Labor is another thing that's a big driver in fleet maintenance costs. But more importantly is if you can deliver the exact problem to the exact fix and have really good schematics around wiring diagrams and component locations and engine diagrams and step-by-step repair guidance, and serve that up in a very intelligent and easy way for the technician in a handheld, they're able to more efficiently fix the issue. And then, one of the big key metrics for fleet maintenance teams is measuring mean time between fault or failure, mean time to repair, and then first time fix percentage, meaning, hey, when we fixed it, did it stay fixed on the first time, or do we have to go back and repeat it? So all of those things lead to cost reduction and increased uptime for a fleet operator.
No, and I mean, it kind of leads in almost perfectly into my next question. How does this get like more efficient, right? Like where do you see technology like this in the future? I mean, stuff is changing at a rapid pace out there right now. So is it essentially going to evolve into, this error code comes up, it's going to automatically send a message to the nearest shop. They're going to have a bay ready for them. The driver's going to be able to pull in. We're going to get downtime down to like an hour. Steve, is that where it's going?
Yeah, well, it's actually already here. So that's kind of a new big part of what we're doing, because it's one thing to have a stakeholder, and all this information is very valuable for the fleet operator, right? So they can do the things we've already talked about. But then it's connecting and sharing that information with the fleet's permission out to their service network, right? So if a third party needs to do roadside, they need to have that information prior to going out to the truck. But then also, once they get out there, and let's just say it's a tire issue or it's some other component, if the fleet has shared what is their service network of partners, that way they can intelligently route that truck to the closest, certified or service provider that's within network, and already have information coming in and knowledge whether or not the parts are available within inventory, and do they have bay time available. And so a more efficient and more intelligent scheduling and planning and having all of that spread out to the ecosystem of partners makes everything more efficient. So yeah, that's actually happening now. We're working with major fleets today to get that information built into the platform. And one of the unique things our platform will also do, depending on the severity or the type of fault, it can automatically generate a work order, and then the workflow that goes through that all the way until that work order is closed out and invoice and the back office is completed. That's being done as well with major customers through two-way integration into their back office and with their third-party service providers.
Dang, this is so. I mean, I just look at it. No matter what is if you're whether you're on the fleet side or not, depending on the size of the fleet that you have out there, it's like this is the type of stuff that kind of excites me the most about where things are going. I know a lot of people who own fleets at the end of the day, Steve, and I just keeping them maintained. I mean, you got to look. I mean, it's a major investment, right? Like you go out there and you look at the, just over these last couple of years, the average cost for like a new semi is, just spitballing anywhere from $180 to $200,000. If it's a standard OTR truck, it's only going to get more expensive into the heavy haul category and everything else that comes along with it. I don't know if enough people understand the type of capital investment that goes in to these trucks and then trailers, right? Like I had a buddy on yesterday who just does specialized heavy haul, and they got $1 million trailers in their fleet, Steve. And, and it's like, so it's like when we're out there keeping that stuff maintained, I mean, it's expensive to have equipment of any size down, but to keep that stuff running in tip-top condition increasing the longevity and the lifeline or the life cycle of these units as well, that just pads the operator's bottom line even better, right? As soon as they can get that truck paid off, everything else that comes out there, maybe they can extend the life of it out an extra 2 years, keep their overhead down on specific units for a couple of years. That just improves their bottom line at the end of the day. And, you know, I'm just always all ears when it comes to how can I run a more efficient operation, but most importantly, how can I make more money in the process as well?
That's right. Absolutely. And you're right about the cost of equipment. And it's one thing, just the capital expense of buying a $200,000 truck. And in the waste industry, you know, for some specialized vocational trucks, I mean, you're looking at the average, you know, waste collection vehicle upwards of $500,000, right? So if you had this little insurance policy, you know, the cost of maybe a couple cups of coffee a month or you know, $100 annually, that's constantly actively 24/7 monitoring that vehicle and trying to catch little things before they become significant costly events. It ROIs, I'm not kidding, in the first 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you've already got full ROI and payback of the investment in technology. And so it's somewhat of a no-brainer, but you know, with everything, I mean, fleet operators today are scrutinizing every dollar spent.
Yeah.
So that's really important. But if you can attack the big things, you know, unscheduled downtime is a big thing. Cost of repair is a big thing. Labor is a big thing, and do that cost effectively and efficiently and start driving costs out of the system. Man, you can have a more profitable fleet. And that's what we're all about. And the last thing I would tell you, we've focused almost entirely on maintenance, but there's a direct correlation between fleet safety and maintaining your vehicle proactively and preventatively. And I tell you, you know, just, you know, tire pressure monitoring, we take that data in, the DVIR data, catching these things before they get on the road or while they're happening, before we have a catastrophic wheel off event or anything like that. We're saving lives and we're making a much safer operating environment for the overall fleet.
No, definitely. And obviously, if your fleet or if your truck is running more efficiently, you're getting better fuel burn on it as well. And you know, that's another massive expense for every trucking company out there is fuel pricing and everything else. So I mean, yeah, it is a no-brainer at the end of the day. You know, it's easy for me to say that because I'm not cutting the check, but you know, at the end of the day, man, you guys got a great concept out here, Steve. And I really appreciate your time today, man. How does anybody reach out to you guys to find out more about what you guys have going on?
Yeah, just our website has plenty of opportunities to be able to put in, you know, a request for more information. So just Fleet HD, you know, Fleet Heavy Duty. So it's fleethd.com. And yeah, we would love to talk to any, you know, fleet operators out there. We actually have a unique kind of promotion going right now. So it's very easy. Whatever telematics you're using, whether that's a GeoTab or a Samsara, or even your camera system has a connection to the CAN bus, we can simply leverage that, you know, investment that you've already made and turn on the system and give you a 30-day or a 60-day no-cost pilot and prove to you the value of the system. And it wouldn't take long, you know, because we do it every day, to show you how having real-time visibility and getting those alerts to the right person in your organization can save your fleet a lot of money and a lot of pain down the road.
I love it. Steve, thank you so much for joining me. If any of you guys can't find Steve or Fleet HD out there, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in contact with them. But that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show. If you're feeling really ambitious after this one, which you should be, rank the show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you saw value, that's how your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.